Hello, dear students of class 9th, my dear viewers and colleagues. Good morning to everyone. Let me first of all recapitulate to you people what I was telling to you people. Which subtopics I was trying to cover up within the same chapter. The chapter we are going through, that's entitled as this electoral politics. We are talking about electoral politics, and among my first two lectures, first of all I was trying to theoretically describe conceptually why elections are compulsory part of the democratic politics and how it's the basic sense of any democratic country. Later on, I was trying to cover up the different the system of the electoral systems of my country, India. So there are different phases, different steps through which this election process within India takes place. There's a one-man India, a constitutional head of this election, who is wholly and solely responsible for this conducting the elections within the country, namely Election Commission of India. Then every state is given every state is given the heads, electoral heads, state electoral commission, state election commission, who is going to conduct the elections within every state smoothly and freely, without any rigging, without any chaos and confusion. Now, dear students, in my last chapter I was talking about this. First of all, the first step, that's electoral constituencies. How electoral constituencies are the first step. The moment we are going to demarcate the particular part of the area, and we call it's a particular constituency, and within this constituency any candidate can take place. He can conduct elections smoothly on the behalf of the same very election, that very electoral seat. So then later on I was trying to how many electoral constituencies within the India. It's 543, and it's from 543 constituencies that we are electing our Lok Sabha representatives, and later on who are jointly responsible for laying the foundation of the strong democratic setup by casting their votes for the Prime Minister's seat. Dear students, later on I discussed with you people as well that there are certain reserved constituencies within the country as well. Take into the consideration the subclasses, certain marginalized sections of the country, certain classes who are not represented, certain sections who feel that we are we are minority groups. We live among the peripheries, like we do have the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes. Then we are having the separate quota for them, dear students. That was what I said to you earlier. 84 seats are reserved for the scheduled castes, 84 seats for scheduled castes, and this the number 47 seats are reserved for the STs, scheduled tribes people. So this was a reserved constituency system that in constitution very categorically talks about the reservation for those communities, for those people who are not represented freely, and who feel that we are alienated people, that we are not represented, and to give them complete representation, that how the laws will be made for their benefit, and how the person will be guardian of their rights and the duties. So they were given a separate identity there. So next step after this, conducting the smooth and the free election within the country, after going through this electoral system of my country, election system of the country India. So next is the voter list. The voter list. Once the constituencies are decided, the next step is to decide who can and who cannot vote. Dear students, let's not forget to mention here the earlier the age of the casting the vote in India was 21. Later it was reduced to 18. Taking the different elements under consideration, the democratic values were added among the people of India. The sense of democracy was inculcated among the people of India. So the age was reduced to, from 21 to 18. It means that to give everyone this political right, what we simply call this universal adulthood franchise or right to suffrage. So everyone should enjoy it prior to their any sort of prejudice, prior to any sort of discrimination and bias that's on the basis of the caste, color, creed, religion, sex. So everyone, a person who is the citizen of India, who is residing within the Indian territory, is having absolute right to cast his vote, what we simply call right to vote. And for this very section, to run this track smoothly, we have first of all we streamline the voters list, where the name of the every candidate is it's written down, so he or she can be eligible for the votes. And what the list is simply called the voter list, or you can simply call it officially the electoral roll. So dear students, we can call it the electoral roll, or we can call it the voting list. The voting list is framed by the commission or the particular constituencies, how many candidates are eligible for casting the votes. Okay, dear students, the moment now the electoral voters list is framed, now we have to move towards the next step to give the concrete shape to this electoral politics, election system of India. That is the first of all we had to frame the electoral this election photo identity card of the candidates, of all the voters, what we simply call electoral. It's EPIC. Its full form is election photo identity card. So dear students, every constituency is holding and maintaining the list of all these voters within the list that's called a voting list, or we can simply call electoral list. Then the second step is that we are going to have this electoral photo identity card. To issue the photo identity card to every voter of India, of the particular constituency. So let us not forget to mention here, it was 1993. It was year 1993 when the person, namely T.N. Seshan, the 10th Chief Election Commissioner of India here, that this man on the screen, the 10th Election Commissioner of India, in year 1993, namely T.N. Seshan, he was a person under his tenure, under his time, he was the person who introduced the concept of EPIC, electoral, election photo identity card in India. So dear students, every candidate, every voter, besides male or female, who attended the domicile of India, attended the age of 18, is eligible for casting the votes the moment everyone is given this electoral voting card. So this election photo identity card is given to every candidates on the basis of their list. This voting card is sent to his home, and on the same voting day, he or she can hold this electoral voting card with him or herself to went to the polling booth to cast his vote. So dear students, by this card is not compulsory for voting every time, but we can use other proofs of identity, like we can use the ration cards, we can use the driving license as well. But this card is also specifically, it was meant for this in 1993 year by this great personality and Seshan. To prove, to unveil his identity, that I am the person who is going to cast this vote. Although certain identity proofs is also challengeable there, like as we are having this driving license or we are having the ration cards. But this is more perfect one by which we can hold and we can cast the votes. We can exercise our political rights. That's your fundamental right, political right, to cast his vote upon as per his own will, as per his own will, and as per his own whim, and as per his own interest. So now, dear students, we have reached to this point that first of all we lay the establishment of the particular constituency, that we demarcate a particular constituency, we locate a particular constituency. Then the second thing is under the guidance, under the custodianship of this person as State Election Commission of India, we are framing the electoral list, the total list of the persons who are going to cast the vote within a particular constituency, and later on we are issuing them this election photo identity card. It's only for this purpose that these candidates the voters can cast their votes, and their identity will not be revealed, that it will be unveiled, and it will beautify the system, and it will maintain more transparency and accountability, and a more transparent system will prevail to run the elections smoothly within a democratic country. Now, dear students, moving ahead, now the third step is that how the nomination of the candidates takes place. The moment we talk about in a democratic country, in an election, the people should have a real choice to elect their representatives, and everyone who is possessing the age of 25, he or she should be in a position, he or she should be given a choice to take part in the election free as a candidate. So now the question comes, how this nomination takes place. Is everyone randomly eligible for the casting for to take part within the election free, or there is a specific criteria? Exactly, dear students, there is a particular criteria that how to get his name done, how to get his name registered. For that very process, we have to go through the particular process, what we simply call a nomination, where a candidate who or he or she is willing to take part in the election free, he has to submit his nomination forms before the election commission of the particular state or election commission of the country. If you look at the screen, here are the two persons. It is the Honorable Prime Minister of the country, Narendra Modi, and on the left side, it's this Aam Aadmi Party patron, Arvind Kejriwal, and both the two persons See the beauty of a democratic country. The Prime Minister of the country himself, within the office, personally, he is going to submit the nomination form before the officer, electoral, this election commissioner of a particular constituency. Here, the person as well. Both the persons are going there. Personally, they are handovering their nomination forms that we are interesting to take part in the electoral politics and with this election free. But dear students, now. And the question comes: is every person anyone who is having the wish and will to take part within the election as a candidate, is he eligible or not? The first condition is that he should possess the age of 25. He or she should possess the age of 25, or sometimes the existing political parties giving a new, what we simply call, a ticket to a particular candidate, that you can take part within the election on our behalf. For example, if the Bharatiya Janata Party is giving a ticket to any candidate from the Handwara constituency, that you can conduct this election on our behalf. So there is no need the delivery candidate has to establish his own political party. He has to talk about his own political political symbol, the party symbol, etc., etc. So the candidate is given a ticket by the particular political party, and means that he or she can fight the elections on the behalf of the same very political party. So the same very election symbol allotted to the party will be implemented to that very guy as well. The same electoral symbol is assigned to him. So now the question comes: if any candidate is going to establish his own political party, there is a special criteria for that very how to establish that very political party. But here the concern is on nominations, filing of a nomination. Exactly, dear students, we can file a nomination by personally visiting to the office, where we can file a nomination papers that I am the candidate who is willing to take part within this coming election, and within this election I am going to take part in this political fray. So these are my nomination papers. So it's compulsory and indispensable action or activity that every candidate has to be fulfilled. Okay, now dear students, there is a term what we simply call the security deposit. What is this security deposit? It means that election commission has put forth a certain amount of that the candidate has to be deposited within the certain amount that remains as a security deposit. Security deposit before the election commission. It means that the candidate has to target line. It has to hit a particular number of the votes to contest the election next time. Right? So the particular amount of the votes he has to be targeted or has to fix, and for that the security deposit, some amount, a total amount fixed time to time, that has been fixed by the election commission, that what's the total amount as a security deposit the candidate is supposed to be fixed. And recently a new system of declaration has been introduced on the directions from the Supreme Court of India, that every candidate has to make the legal declarations giving full details of that the candidate is not involved in any serious crimes, civil criminal cases, or there is not any pending criminal case against the particular candidates, and the candidate has to unveil the total assets, the detail of his total assets, what sort of property he or she is possessing. The candidate has to unveil all those assets, and not of himself but as of the family members as well. For example, if the male is contest elections, what is the total amount of the spouse as well. Both the persons, male or female, they have to partners, they have to unveil their total amount of the assets what they do have the possessing. And later on, this information has to be made public, compulsory. It has to be made public, because the voters can get the absolute chance to read, to analyze that very person to whom we are going to cast our vote. Is this person capable, trustworthy, potential? Is this person he or she is not incompetent? He is not a fraudulent. He was not involved in any scam or any other burglary. So this thing needs to be very clearly unveiled by the election commission. So dear students, now the question comes regarding the election education qualification of a particular candidate who is going to take part with the election free electoral process. Dear students, the way we can say that there are certain things in my country where the education qualification is not compulsory. Education qualification is not necessary. For example, if someone among us is going to be the part of Indian cricket team, he or she needs not to be a BSc graduate, BA graduate, BCom graduate with 80% marks, because the marks has no role to play there. It's only his worth, capacity, potential that needs to be given a weightage. Right? So this is the same is the case here. When any candidate is given a chance to be the part of the electoral politics, to take part in the election process, he or she need not to be fulfill the particular criteria that the person must have this law graduate or the masters in the political science. He should be the graduate from this political science within the subject political science. So not at all. Not at all. There is no particular qualification for that. Any candidate can be the member. He or she can take part in the election process, electoral politics. But the only concern is that he is honest one. He is the person who can understand the grievances of the people, who can highlight the concern of that very particular constituency, who knows the ups and downs of the political system, who knows the pros and cons of the election system, who knows the beauty of democracy, who can address the grievances of the common masses very beautifully, who can not be a fraud, who cannot be a cheat, who is a trustworthy, who is loyal to them, who is available to them, who is every time on their doorsteps. So these are the certain lines, certain criteria which a voter needs to take into the cognizance and the consideration that I am going to cast my vote to this person. So the concern is once again, if the education qualification, if the education scale is like this, the one person must have the 50% with BA graduate, BSc graduate with 60%, BCom graduate with 70%. It means that 90% of the citizens will become ineligible for contesting the elections. Their students, 90% of the candidates will remain ineligible. They cannot cast their votes. They cannot take part in the election process because they are ineligible. That's why there is no criteria for that. So these were the 2-3 steps which I discussed today within the election system of India. That voter lists are framed, voter ID cards are saturated, and later on the nomination is done. It's taking place, and this is the way that smoothly the election system goes on. Dear students, there are certain steps as well to give the complete shape to the electoral process. Inshallah, within a couple of days and within a coming lecture, I'm going to cover up all those things as well. You just till then stay to the books, glued to the books, be motivated. Don't let yourself to be demotivated. Inshallah, these things will go very soon, and we are going to resume the formal things once again. Till then, I will meet you once again. Take care, stay tuned, and Allah Hafiz.